So I decided to create a new playlist on the channel, which will have videos for beginners. So in this video, we're going to create a simple red button like this, just where you can click with your mouse or on your touchscreen, and it just reacts. So it's an animated button. So let's get started. So I'm going to delete this. So we start again. So let's delete everything. So we've got a blank scene. So let's get started. So what we want to do is first go into our toolbox on the wall to get an axis. Then we want a material, which will be what the color of the button will be, and then geometry. So we need some geometry. So we're going to use a cylinder for this. You can experiment later on with different geometry shapes and make your own different buttons. So if I click on the axis under scale all, I can scale the button up nice and big. Right. So what I want to do is actually have another axis, and this will be my main parent to move it around. So I'll just call this main. So this allows me just to rotate everything here as a group. So I have everything grouped under, and then all my assets is here. So this can stay as default rotations and stuff. You'll see in a second. Anyway, so we've got our cylinder, and right now we want to animate this on the z-axis, but we want it to scale from the bottom. So what we want to do, where you have alignment, you have X, Y, and Z, and on the Z we want to change this to the Z rear. So the rear, we want to choose the rear. So now if you change the value on the size Z, you can see it scales from the bottom to the top. So let's say our values are 0.5 to 1 and 1. No, not 1, that's too big. Let's put 0.5 to 0.7. Okay, so what we want to do is when we click it, we want those values to change. So what we can use is a mover. We'll start off with a mover, really simple. There's many ways to make buttons, and we're going to keep this really simple. So a mover, you can see here, is animating the values between a minimum and a maximum. Right now it's going -1 to 1, and you can see it here, and it's doing this as a loop, continuous. So we can change this mode to one shot, so it only runs once, and then when you hit nudge, it'll trigger that again. So we're going to do 0.5 to 0.7, 0.7 and 0.5, and you can change the duration after. And we'll turn swing on. So okay, so what we're going to do is take that value of Z and drop it onto that mover. Now if I hit the nudge, triggers it. Now the animation's going the wrong way because my minimum and maximum are different. So I need to change that to 0.7 and the max to 0.5. Now when I hit nudge, now it looks like it's being pressed in. So every time I click nudge, it looks like it's being pressed down. Now I can increase that value, so I could say maybe 0.4, so it looks like it's being pressed a bit further down. There you go. Now I can, with the duration here, I can slow that animation down. So if I said I want that animation to last for 5 seconds, now I've got a lot slower animation. See, really simple. Now with button press, you want a quick button press. So let's say 0.8. There we go. 0.8 looks cool. So before we do that, let's fix up the aesthetics. Let's click on the cylinder, and in the cylinder you have a ton of options. So you've got tessellation, you've got like the ring tessellation, segments, bevels. So on this one we just want to add a little bevel. We'll just do this. Keep it really clean and simple. Nothing too complicated. Let's color up. Let's click on the material. Now under the color, you got base color here. If you open up that tab, you have a base color. Now we can just give it a color. I'm gonna go for a big red button. Now next, what we're gonna do is add a touch button for the interaction. So under interaction in your toolbox, you've got touch button, and I want to place this just in front of my cylinder. and I'm going to shift select, so holding shift down, select the cylinder and the button, which will bring up the mover. So what I want to do is link the nudge to the touch button and say single tap. Now you notice there's tap and hold, touch begin, touch in, touch to leave, and they're all different ways you can interact with it with this touch button. So these are all the possible inputs that you can do. For now I'm going to use single tap, and maybe we'll create other videos that cover these, but you can experiment and see what happens when you link those. But for this we'll use single tap. So now when I tap or click on the object, it triggers that nudge. So you notice you'll see this flash red when I click on the cylinder. There you go. And if I want, I can reset that, or I can say maybe 1.5, change that duration and slow the animation down. There you go. Let's say 1. Let's set it to 1. 1's fine. Hey, so you've got a simple button, really quick. Now let's add some little graphics around that. So let's get another axis. Let's drop it in. Just dropped it under the main, and then beneath this main button graphic that we've created, let's get another cylinder. Alright, we're going to scale this up nice and big, and under the size Z, let's scale that down, and we can position this slightly higher up. There we go. And if you want, you can add the bevel edge to that cylinder by just click on the cylinder, go into the properties, and just increase that value. Now you can apply a material to this as well, so just drop the material in front of the cylinder. You can give this a color. If you want to go a bit further, we'll cover this in another short video. But texture, let's click on base, and now if we go into the mapping, you see where it says simple, the little drop down arrow. I'm going to choose world space reflection. Now I've got this kind of reflection, and what I want to do is where it says simple sample or simple, also I'm going to go simple wrap. Now that will wrap that texture, checkerboard texture, making it look nice and reflective. So now if I move it around, you can see I've got this nice shiny like frame. Now you can see it's checkered here, so maybe if I go into the UV mapping, so if I click on that material, and under where it's 3D mapping, if I scale that up and play around with the scaling and maybe the rotation, you know, it might not look so bad. You won't have that much banding with the checkers, but you could use a different texture, or you could use the default ones. If you click on the loader, the little drop arrow loader, you can choose a completely different texture and get a different look. But yeah, have a play. And you could also apply texture or reflection to this, doing the same thing. So click on the material where it says material stage, just click the little plus symbol, texture, I'm going to choose base, where it's added that checkered on the mapping. I'm just going to simply change the mapping to 3D mapping, world space reflection, and now you got a nice glossy thing texture. Now what you can do is change the scale again, and this one I want to play around with the additives. So on the color operations, it's getting a bit complicated, but let's go screen, add smooth, there we go. And then you can change the amount just to reduce it. There you go. Hopefully I'll cover this in another video in more detail, but there you go. The idea was just to create a simple button that you can interact with. Really simple, quick, but I can get carried away with these videos pretty easily. So I'm going to end it here. Hopefully that was a useful beginner's video, and thank you again. see you soon.